Ladies and gentlemen, hello from the MLG studios in New York City, and welcome back to the Winter Exhibition, where we're currently watching 16 players battle it out to see who's going to take the first place prize of $1,000, second place $500. Of course, the 16 players who lost in round 1 of the Winter Championship event were down to 9.
That is correct. And after today, there's going to be
10.
8. There's 9.
9, yes. I shouldn't second guess myself, but it's right now it's Sase versus Gswser, best of 5. Sase is currently up 1 game. Phenomenal game number 1. Again, if you missed it, it'll be on VOD 1080p after, not too far after the match tonight at the very least, of course. Let's go ahead and jump into game 2 though, where we'll have to see if Sase or if Goswser can even things up. The map is going to be Daybreak, and I will be very happy if this one is even half as exciting as that first one, because that first one was really a treat to watch. Very cool strategies from both players, but Sase just able to outmaneuver his opponent. Of course, Sase is your red Protoss player in the bottom left-hand location. Currently on Team Fnatic. He's been living in Thailand recently, participating in the TSL for Gamma Bears, if I'm not mistaken. And of course, he took a trip over to Dallas to participate in the Winter Championship event, where he lost to Tasia in the first round, but he's currently up 1-0 here. It wasn't easy, because his opponent in the top right-hand location gave him a lot of trouble. Very nice, innovative play, but got outmaneuvered as that game went along. He is the blue Zerg player representing Team Millennium. He is Goswser. Of course, a lot of people always look at his name, they're like, what the heck is that? Is it Goswser? Like, what is it? Well, it's W, and he takes that literally. So it's just think of it as 2 U's, and then it's Goswser. Hopefully that clears things up a little bit. He is one of the more confusing names out there. No offense. It's just some people have confusing names.
So one thing that we have noticed is that there's a big jump between games 1 and 2. Game 1, Sase opened with a fairly late natural expansion. Game 2, going Nexus first, and even putting his first pylon in his main base, which is basically like the most optimal opening you can do. Lose no mining time until you send a probe out to build a Nexus, and then that same probe goes out to scout. Goswser, he's already building gas. Perhaps he kind of built that anticipating a potential gateway opening. Or maybe, like last game, we talked about how he tech fast and took a late third. That could be just what he does no matter how the Protoss opens. So it could be part of his game plan is to just go get those fast infestors, those fast swarmos, and really utilize the Zerg air tech units. Yeah,
he wants to get those units out as fast as possible. We've seen he has a lot of fun with them, and he's very good at using them. But of course, as the game went along, Sase was able to, again, isolate those expensive, important units and really able to turn that game into his favor. We'll have to see if Goswser allows that here. Of course, Daybreak is a map with essentially less counter-attack paths as Cloud Kingdom. There's only 3 main ones through the middle of the map there, so there are places where you can put a lot of spine crawlers to really help deflect those counter-attack possibilities. But it should be very interesting to see how fast Goswser gets his additional gases, how fast he gets a third base. For now, 2 drones in gas, and speed has already begun, so it looks like he does want to go for a faster layer.
One thing that I thought was really interesting about the last game, we'll see this continues to be trend, is that, so Goswser went Swarmos and Infestors, and the idea is that, okay, you get Colossi against that, but Goswser just said no, Colossi actually get crushed by Infestor Swarmos, and he destroyed the Colossi. But what Sase used ended up being effective is just the Blink Stalkers.
Yep.
Which, in theory, if you think in Wings of Liberty, Colossi beating Infestors, Infestors beat Blink Stalkers. But I guess in Heart of the Swarm, with the 10 range on the fungal and the fact you can lead it, Infestors might actually be better against Colossi now than it used to be because it had extra range. Colossi aren't going to move around a lot, so the fact it's a projectile isn't as big a deal. But then, of course, they're worse against the Blink Stalkers because you can blink dodge the fungals, and the more mobility play is, of course, great against the Swarmos as well. So Sase really showing how powerful mobility is, but Goswser are showing the strength of the Zerg in a straight-on engagement. Again, going fast layer, but this time Sase is going to have a much better economy, but also there's no Oracle that's going to be wrecking. Oh, look at this. Look at all these gateways. 5 gateways. Goswser,
he doesn't have a 4 pylon, though, and his opponent's speed. I don't know what he's going to be able to get even done with those 5 gateways.
He's getting a robo now. All these gateways early. Is he just... I'm actually really intrigued by this. He's moving out now with the probes. He's going to start.
Maybe she wants the option of making a bunch
He's definitely going to put on pressure. And one of the things is, even though this pressure won't hit super fast, because like you mentioned, there's no forward pylon, there's speed. He's going to have to build up an army, then cross the field. You have to also recognize Gswser has no third base, so he can't produce the units to swarm over to gateway competition. Gswser also has no armor upgrade. It just started for the Zerglings, so the Zealots will be very effective with +1. There's no Roach Warren, so Roaches aren't an option. So, you know, Sase's attack seems slightly slower, but I don't think Gswser can defend his third base. There's no way.
All right, we'll have to see what he does with that Infestation Pit. 2 Overlords in production as he is supply blocked at the moment.
Oh, actually, if he can get that pylon before too many warping rounds, Gswser potentially might.
That's going to be the key here.
He's also spotted Sase's third across the map.
Queen's coming out here from Gswser trying to deal with these Zealots. One Queen getting taken down, not a bad trade at all. Sase continuing to warp in more and more units here at this forward pylon. Has 5 Zealots there. Again, they have +1 weapons. Nothing but Zerglings in production here for Gswser. And again, the Zergling back home is going to start pecking away at that pylon. A Queen essentially getting trapped here. She's going to fall. Gswser having a bit of trouble dealing with this.
He is. A few more units come in. Oh, the pylon gets taken out by the speeding, so that's going to spell the end of the warpings offensively. Gswser just has to deal with the units that are in his face, and I think he can do that. So he is going to hold on to his third by virtue of a lack of warpings from Sase going forward here.
It'd be interesting to see, you know, if Sase, instead of going into the natural expansion of his opponent, if he had used those units to target down this hatchery as it was being made. I feel like he might have been able to take it out, but instead he decided to try to see what he could get done in the natural of his opponent. Took down a couple Queens, which is good, forcing Gswser to make a lot of units, and this Mothership Core is staying annoying at the moment.
It is, and one of the awesome things about Sase is, yes, he wasn't able to kill Gswser's third base, but he's gotten some nice unit traits, being very cost efficient with +1 Zealots against just Zerglings, and actually this Mothership Core just got like 8 drone kills.
It is going to die, but this is definitely worth it.
And the third base from Sase is up. He has 2 photon cannons, so he should be able to defend that from any potential counterattack. The only thing Sase might have to worry a tiny bit about is the fact that he doesn't really have any high-tech units down the field, just still pure gateways, and Gswser has a good number of infestors now basically being produced.
Sase trying to make these gateway units heroes here. Only 2 Zealots in a Sentry, taking the hatchery down to 900 health from 1500. Trying to take down that Queen, but she's going to scuttle out of there. Very heroic, couple Zealots in a Sentry there. Hopefully their families are given lots of money.
So Sase now has a significant economic advantage going forward. We can see his third base has a significant number of probes. Gswser has almost no workers at his third base. So Sase, with a nice economic advantage, Gswser has these infestors. He could potentially launch an infested Terran counterattack. He could do, getting a couple Stalkers here. Blink is not quite yet done. Just a few seconds from completion. It finishes now. But there's no Stalkers left to utilize that Blink.
Zealot trying to save his friends, but he's a little too late. He's going to die as well. So, Gswser's up in supply, 90 to 84, but again, I love your point about the economies here. Sase up 65 to 54. He has that faster third base. It is pretty much locked down. He's got 3 cannons there, 2 gateways, 2 warp gates as well coming in there, so to help buffer, to help tank any potential damage that, any potential units that swarm in that direction. Behind this Gswser trying to equalize that drone count. We saw about 15 there in production, getting a bunch of infestors out here onto the field. Units tab shows he has about he has 11 infestors with none in production. Also researching swarm hosts, the locusts,
and the range attack
during locusts. Yeah,
exactly. Well, as well as the range attack. So he's going for that same composition we saw last game. Sase as well. Double Forge for mass upgrades. He's going to have an upgrade advantage. Double Robo for mass Colossi. He really likes his double Robo play. It's kind of the backbone of his PvZ. It's kind of what it's looking like.
I like it. I mean, you know, if you don't end up using the Colossi later, Robo can be very instrumental. If you want to make Colossi out of one, a War Prism out of the other, couple Observers out of the other, you know, it's very beneficial. And of course, you can go into Immortal production if you're dealing with Ultras a little bit later. I think in any PvZ, if you're on 3 bases, you should have 2 Robos almost. I feel like it's going to be worth it. A lot of the time.
At least if your opponent's using heavy infester or swarm host play, it seems like it's very, very, very useful.
Yeah.
+3 attack and +2 armor is on the way. So Sase, already at the 1330 mark in a fairly action-packed game, is getting insane upgrades. Gswser only has 2 upgrades. just the Carapace and the +1 range, cranking off a single evolution chamber, and he's doing that so he can focus most of his gas towards Tech. He's going up to the Spire because he does want to get Corruptors to help deal with those Colossi, as well as Observer Sniping. More and more Swarmos are being produced. The one thing Gswser has is all these Infestors he built very early. He was playing behind economically to get them out so fast. They now have pretty much full energy. He's got 11 of these Infestors out on the map, and almost every single one is at full energy. So that's a lot of fungal growth.
Let's see if he keeps an eye on them, though. I mean, we've seen him lose Infestors for free in the past. You know, Zerg players at home, if there's something you really focus on, once you get those out, you got to keep them alive. Make sure they're out of range of your opponent. Make sure they're nice and safe, because they will pay for themselves as the game goes along. They're no use to you if they're dying and you're having to remake them, of course. You know, complete opposite comparison is like the Zergling. It's okay if you lose some of those because they're very cheap. They're not hard to produce. You got a bunch of larvae anyway. You know, it's going to be worth it a lot of the time. However, the Infestor, it's very expensive. The more time it's on the map, the more beneficial it's going to be, because it's always accumulating that energy.
And these Infestors are like prime Infestors. They've been, you know, it's like a steak. You dry age it for a while, and all of a sudden its value goes up a lot. And that's exactly what Gswser's been doing with these Infestors. Every single one now, except for I think 2 of them, are at 200 energy. That means 2 Fungals and 2 Infested Terrans, or a whole ton of Terrans. There's a lot of different ways you can play it. He's been really cranking out Swarm Hosts now. So he's up to a good number. He's got 13, 3 more on the way. Now he's up to 16. And these Swarm Hosts...
Jeez, 16 Swarm Hosts.
I mean, with +2 weapons now finishing for them, even with the Colossi count that Sase has, that many Locusts is going to be very difficult to deal with. But we saw last game, Sase, he said, you know, I can't beat Swarm Hosts straight on, but I can run around the map, and I'm just going to wait for you to misposition those Swarm Hosts once, and then I can pick them off when there's no Locusts around to take out my army.
This probe is going to die very fast. Pylon should be able to get taken out by these Locusts. Zergling's going to come forward and make sure that's cleaned up. Ghost's are starting to extend forward a little bit, sending 3 Swarm Hosts forward to back them up a little bit. And yeah, he's picking all those... nope, actually he's keeping the Swarm Hosts back for now. He's very safe.
He's very safe. I think Gswser, one thing I've noticed about his play, Gswser is insanely confident in straight forwarding. Oh, his Swarm Hosts are on Burrowed. The Protoss has crossed the distance. Fungals are trying to be utilized to keep them back, but the Stalkers are blinking in and Infestors are going down without using their abilities.
Oh my gosh, this is exactly what we talked about. Picture perfect engagement here from Sase, taking down about 7 or 8 full energy Infestors, getting a good chunk of those Swarm Hosts as well. He's continuing to blink forward here. I'm looking for an Observer here from Sase.
It was focused down.
Oh, there's no Observer.
Yeah, the Corruptor Overseer combination is very key, but all the Corruptors are dead now. The Protoss still the significant force.
Oh yeah.
But the Swarm Hosts are relatively untouched. Oh, another Infestor running into the middle of the army going down.
0 Infestors are on the field.
There's an Observer. A new Observer got brought in.
Yep.
It's in range. The Swarm Hosts are trying to back away.
Yeah, and they're gonna lift up, revealing themselves, and they're gonna die pretty fast there. Gswser trying to scramble to get units on the field. 3 Corruptors in production, 10 Zerglings in production. Sase even has a War Prism here to help reinforce. Gswser sending everything at his opponent's army, but it seems like he just simply does not have an answer. The Stalker's blinking forward again. The Observer is overhead. The Swarm Host going to start getting taken down. Sase up 171 to 143 in supply, securing a 4th base behind this. And Gswser, again, nothing but Lings and Corruptors in production, but I don't think that's going to be enough to take down this army.
No, it's not. I mean, right there again, we saw Gswser's army is so powerful, but his Swarm Hosts weren't burrowed. So he charged across the map, and I think he didn't have enough vision in front of him, so he didn't realize Sase was coming. You know, if he could have burrowed his guys at the 6 o'clock base, he could have sieged Sase's middle expansion. But what happened is Sase saw him coming forward, and he moved forward. Gswser didn't realize that Sase wasn't hanging back, and he just got totally caught off guard there.
Again, another story where you just gotta take care of those expensive units. How are we going to convince Gswser to take care of his units? Because again, he's getting into positions that are pretty favorable. Well, not like he's in a huge lead or anything, but whenever you have 16 Infestors on the field and like 16 Swarm Hosts, as a Zerg player, you're going to be pretty happy. But when you lose those in a second by either overextending or misplacing them, it's not going to be fun at all, because then all of a sudden you don't have an answer to this large Protoss Death Ball that you originally had an answer to in those expensive units. So, you know, Sase once again taking advantage of Gswser being a little bit off guard, being a little bit out of position, and that's exactly what you have to do. That's exactly how you have to play against that Swarm Host Infestor play.
That Zerg composition is a very technical composition.
Yeah.
It's not easy to use. You make one mistake and you get punished very hard for that. We saw that this game. Gswser, though, we saw in the first game how powerful that composition can be when it's utilized correctly. And we've seen that Gswser is capable of doing that. So can he use that in Game 3 to make a comeback? I feel like he likes his style, and I feel like it's worked for him before. Just got caught a little off guard last game. He's going to be keeping an eye out for that in game number 3.
All right, guys, you're watching the Winter Exhibition round of 16. This is the final match of the round of 16, a match between Sase and Gswser. Sase is currently up 2-0. Game 3 coming up.